Greed is a powerful, powerful tool to create negative energy, no question. Number two, another major theme in this play, introduced in the first act, is obviously the theme of deception. Things are not what they appear to be. We got all kinds of deceiving going on. You could jot down 3 or 4 quick examples of deception already being introduced. This negative energy is all rooted in a form of deception. Of course, a major theme here is fear, and the use of fear, and the ways in which fear is going to create all kinds of intolerance and, of course, death in the end. Horrifying fear. The manipulation of people's emotions are central as well, of course, as a major theme, and we'll begin to see this manipulation as it unfolds in our play together. Let's jump to 2B really quickly and what goes on here. We've already mentioned a number of examples here at 2B of rhetoric, not what Miller says, but how he says it. And, of course, significant in all of this are the major symbols that we've already emphasized. The symbol of flight is going to be a major one in this play. Of course, we have the symbol as well of the notion of heavy books. The books that Hale will arrive with, these are heavy books because they hold lots of learning. Of course, the irony of all ironies is that Hale has no idea what it is he's about to unleash in this town. And of course, the horror of all horrors is the case as well for McCarthy. He did not realize, maybe some would argue, the total extent of the ways in which he would be weakening America, not making it stronger by some of the crazy that he was pulling off. At level 3, we of course have to relate to this. Now, if you see this performance, either when we study it with the Daniel Day-Lewis performance or you see it live, you cannot help but be moved and brought into the performance, identifying with certain characters right away. But let's start at 3A. Let's ask about other texts. We've mentioned already a number of other texts that come to mind. But let's think about titles that you know of that have to do with this notion of thinking you're doing the right thing, but you actually do the wrong thing. Do you have a film you can write down where that kind of happens in the movie? What about texts for you that are compelling in their treatment of the satanic, the occult, that related to this notion of the devil and all of that? What for you is your favorite text that deals with those kinds of things? And how do you explain the fact that those kinds of texts are so unbelievably popular in your culture today? Why are those texts so popular? Is it because people continue to believe in this kind of thing? Or people have some kind of curious notion of these kinds of things? Of course, if you don't know it, there is in fact a very popular, I believe it's on Netflix at the time, called Salem, which plays the same game, right? Okay, that's kind of going on with this idea. Of course, you probably are already familiar with the ways in which certain kind of dystopian, is what we call them, novels, play right into this. For those of you, for example, know about The Giver, or you know about Ayn Rand's Anthem, you know all about totalitarian states that try to hold people in check and don't let them have their own independent thoughts. And how do they do that? Primarily through manipulation of fear. And of course, if you step out of line, you will get jacked. That's always foundational to these kinds of texts. Let's finally turn to 3B and begin to ask some more personally related questions. We'll ask several that maybe can help you to relate personally to the first act of this play. Question 1. When was the last time that you were in a situation where you recognized that you were being controlled by fear? You knew it. It was aware. It was fear you could taste. And you had to find a way to get out, and the way you got out was by blaming somebody else. Whoa. Instead of just admitting that, for example, you actually did something. Analyze that moment and ask, in what ways is that moment similar to the situation that Tituba's in, the situation that Abigail's in, the situation that John Proctor is in? Where it would be so easy to just stand up and say, yeah, I did it, I'm the one that's in the wrong. But instead, your first tendency was to kind of blame somebody else. It's not me, it's so-and-so. Question 2, as we try to relate ourselves to this title of Act 1. What is for you your greatest challenge to be honest in your life? When you had to step up and say, you know, I got to tell the truth here. and you kind of fought against your fears? Is there a moment in your life that you're proud of in that regards, when you stood up? As John Proctor will see, should, and he doesn't. And because he doesn't, all kinds of crazy happens. Finally, do you have any sense that you live in a community where crazy happens because people start talking? I mean, I know this doesn't happen anymore at Orland High School, but there was a time at Orland High School when people used to gossip and say things that weren't true about other people. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with this anymore. Dodge that bullet, right? Obviously, I'm speaking a bit ironic now. Why do you think it is the case that so regularly people want to believe things about other people, rumors and the like, instead of just addressing those rumors outright? Why is that the case? Even stuff about often our own pals. We have a tendency to want to believe right away instead of confronting our pal and saying, is it true that you said? And our pal would say, yeah, no, it's totally untrue. Why do you think it is the case that gossiping and rumors work that way so powerfully? Well, there you go, an introduction to Arthur Miller's Crucible, Act 1. We're obviously ready to see what happens in Act 2. The crazy just continues. Thank you.